Is that the Trump dance?
No,
Zorro.
it's my dance.
Sure.
It's actually it's a politics dance right now.
Political
Yeah?
dance.
It's a political dance, and you can learn as well. Look,
No, I don't know how to do that. Okay. Today, we are talking about some current events. Actually, that's why this show is here, talking about current events. Okay. Mr. Zorro and I, hey now, I'm hearing myself echo. Mr. Zorro and I felt the need to talk about current events because so many things are going to be happening over this next 4 years. Every day, with the economy, with politics, and even with crypto. So we'll start with crypto. Crypto's crashing. What the fuck? Mr. Titan, you're on the scene. You're a crypto investor. What gives?
Nothing. That's the problem.
Well,
everything seems to be based on hype now. If you go back even before the election, if you go back and look right around the election, things started going up. As soon as the election happened, came back down. Beginning of December, I guess it nosed up. That was an all-time high for me in recent history, December 6th. And it was fantastic. Like nobody's ever seen. And that was when all the policies started to come out. What the government was planning on doing. And then there's a lag between Christmas holiday, people spending their money on other things. The news kind of dies down a little bit. And then it went right back up in January, anticipating the inauguration. The inauguration happens. A flurry of 47 executive orders were signed. And everybody reveled in the wonderful news of that. And there hasn't been very much else from the news cycle, at least, that is positive to the crypto side. Little bits and pieces here, but a lot of it is rumor, speculation, conjecture, and there's just nothing going on. It's news cycles, and it's getting irritating.
So I partially agree with that. There's a lot of hype and there's a lot of news cycles. My observation is that Trump ran on crypto, Bitcoin in particular, but it's been kind of massaged to crypto now, which is good, I guess. But what I've noticed, so when he got elected, crypto went up because he ran on it. Then when it started going down, he started saying good things about crypto. And it go up for a little while and then start going back down. He'd say more good things about crypto, start going up again. And it went down just recently in the last day because he's just announced tariffs, or as Mr. Zorro would say, tariffs, against other countries, which will strongly affect our economy in a negative way, especially when, not if, they retaliate. And crypto took a massive, massive shit because of it. Why? Because people are putting value into crypto. They're expecting it to be an economy that's going to run the world and run, help our economy run. But if you don't have things to tokenize, if you don't have value to move around, why have crypto?
Well, I think you're a little behind on the news because there was some retaliation. Justin Trudeau said he was equaling the 25% tariff on, get this is not a joke, things coming from red states. Not joking. But wait, it gets even better.
He's hitting MAGA below the belt.
So wait, it gets better. He was in the news conference talking about it. Trump had already heard about it. And a reporter said it's already being reported Trump's going to jack him up higher if you decide to put tariffs on. And the look of fear on his face, if you watch the video, listen, if you watch the video, he goes almost white as a ghost and is talking about not wanting to start a trade war then. Watch the video.
Okay, so the video that I saw takes place yesterday, and it's what's his name? Prime Minister of Canada's last day in office. I believe he's now out, and he announced retaliatory tariffs. I'm not sure why his face would go white upon saying that it would be jacked up more. Okay, let's see how this one turns out. I saw how Trump renegotiated NAFTA, and that didn't seem to do anything extra. If anything, it just seems to be the same.
Well, no, that's not true. So in his first term, he changed NAFTA. NAFTA is no longer. That's gone. Now it's the USMCA. Okay, and that stands for United States, Canada, and Mexico. Now, if you want something funny, go ahead and arrange those letters a little bit differently, and you'll understand why they called it USMCA instead of what it should have been. But anyway,
wait, okay, why the fuck would he need to raise tariffs more if he came up with this wonderful plan, better than anyone has ever seen? In fact, why would he then need to keep going with the tariffs?
NAFTA was eliminated and USMCA was put in so that it would be more fair. He wasn't on the tariff thing back then. He wanted tariffs on China, and that was pretty much it.
And he did.
And it has affected things in the manufacturing sector. I see I'm part of the manufacturing sector, so I know all about it. And being a former director of logistics who also stocks a plant in Mexico with all their stuff, I kind of know a little bit about how all this works.
Stock Mexico with all their stuff?
Yeah. So it was very good. It did level the playing field, although it caused quite a bit of difficulty for Mexico to do business, because then Mexico decided in their retaliatory fashion, they said, okay, well, we're just going to start banning imports on things. And if you want to import things like screws, nuts, and bolts, and you don't want to buy the ones that we manufacture here, we're going to hit you with a 45% import fee, basically a tariff. But it was from anywhere, not just the U.S. So those things were in place back then, just not to the level that they're at right now.
Okay. Let's move on to the star of the show. Is Trump ordering Elon to break the law? And let me give a quick refresher on this. Elon and Trump are buddies. They are closer than close. And some people would say Elon is the president, but Trump has made sure that we know that he's not. And so Elon has been empowered by presidential executive order to go into agencies and cut a lot of money out of the budget. I think up to $2 trillion or something like that. A lot of money, more than anyone has ever seen, in fact. And so in the last few days, he's gone to the Treasury Department and to the USAID organization, which is United States, is a U.S. organization, and gone in and basically demanded access to things that he didn't have access. He didn't have permission to get to. He didn't have clearances, and so basically he wanted to go outside of government procedures and basically just said, "Give this to me now. I want the data." And when corrected by the people in charge of those agencies, like, hey, you can't do that, you need to follow the process, those people would get dismissed or they'd resign. And that's worrisome. That's like hot wiring a car when you have the keys. You just need to go and grab the key. When the car's in your garage and you have the keys on the wall, but you just need to open the key, pull the keys off the wall, and you're going to just start destroying the car to hotwire it so you can get the thing moving, so you can get it to do what you want. Remember, and I'll let somebody else go next. Remember, Congress is who holds the keys to spending money and not spending money. It's up to the president to enforce that.
Sort of.
Go for it, Titan. You're just waiting to go.
Well, so you have that mostly correct. So the departments or entities or bureaucratic businesses like the aid fund, Congress authorizes them a certain amount of money. And we're going to use easy numbers here. I don't know the exact numbers. So let's just use nice round numbers. And let's say they get $100 million a year. They're not told how to spend that money. They're just, Congress says, here's your money, here's your budget. You came to us, you talked to us about what you wanted to spend it on. We thought your budget was reasonable. Here's the money. Now, what they actually do with that money is where this investigation that Musk has started with them is coming from. Because just like the Pentagon failed its budget for, like, what was it, the 9th time in a row where they lost trillions, the same thing happens in all of these departments. So, of course, Elon wants the books, wants to say you were given, again, we're rounding numbers just for the example here, you were given $100 million. Where did it go? It was supposed to go here, here, and here. Where did it actually go? And Elon posted on X some of the transactions. And a lot of those transactions were given to a church, a Lutheran church, as a matter of fact. Why would that happen? That wasn't part of the budget that was submitted when they got the money from Congress. So that led to a sense of urgency. You also had Vladimir Zelensky come out and say, we can only find about 44% of the money that you said the United States government gave to us. We don't know where the rest of it is. So absolutely, urgency is the key. I would bet a month's pay and half of my crypto wallet that Trump issued an executive order that said, I don't give a shit about the clearance that Elon needs. He gets whatever he wants and he gets it instantly. And I'll bet you that's already been filed. So yes, the urgency is there because these administrations will try and cook the books and hide that stuff. It's already being alluded to, and Elon also posted that it's looking like, from initial scans of these documents, that U.S. aid is a big funder of the COVID-19 labs in Ukraine, where it was developed. These gain of function things were developed. So the urgency is there to get that before the evidence is destroyed. So I support that 1,000%. He's not doing anything that Trump doesn't want him to do.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot there.
There's a lot that you threw out the question and I answered it.
Do you really think that he support that everything that Elon asked to him?
I do think so. Trump saw what Elon did with X, firing 80% of the people and turning the company around and operating with far less. And it's a better platform today than it was with 80% more people.
That's not true.
I think it is. My experience has been that way.
So I want to go back because Mr. Zorro said something. There's a few questions I had written down while you were going through all that. And I'm gonna throw the questions out there first. And then we can talk about them, including the last one. One, doesn't Elon have a conflict of interest? This treasury data contains a lot of information about Elon's competitors, stuff that he can react to and see how much money they've spent and so on. Number two, the United States it's been well known, has had black budgets that are mostly consumed by the military and probably CIA, NSA, FBI, etc. The three-letter departments, a black budget, which is intentionally, I believe, even by a congressional order, not allowed to be published. Number 4, executive orders are public. This stuff is easily researchable, whether Elon has been given the permission to do this. And I can tell you, my senator in Oregon, Senator Ron Wyden, has already lodged a complaint about all sorts of procedures not being followed. Number 5 or 6, the president is not allowed to perform Congress's job. The president, he can't override what they want. Now, he can do things like creative things like pausing things and so on, but he cannot prevent things from happening, and he cannot violate the law. So obviously what's going to happen is a lot of lawsuits, because it's been said, and it's easy to see the president is going way above and beyond. He can't relax restrictions that are codified in the law. He can pause things, but he can't just say, no, it's okay, Elon, you could just go in and get here's the keys to the government, just go into any office you want. That's not how the president can't do that.
Where do you want to start? That was a lot.
Well, those were actually responses to what you said, because you made 5 or 6 separate assertions in what you said. Let's start with the black budgets.
Black budgets. He's not publicly releasing any particular numbers yet. He's not releasing.
You're talking about, where'd this money go if it didn't go to Ukraine? Well, it'd be in the black budget somewhere, right?
It could be, but he didn't release where it went. Vladimir Zelensky said he's only gotten about 44% of what the government gave him. Elon did not throw out where that other 56% was or went or is.
So nobody knows.
Nobody knows right now.
Has Elon even documented any of the stuff that he's done yet? We don't really know what he's done.
We don't need to know. It's between him and Trump.
Well, then how do you know that he's gotten 44%?
We need to know, Titan.
We do need to know. We are his boss. We are the president's boss.
Listen, we don't know because it was just discovered. I'm sure it will be discovered, but we're not going to be the first ones to hear about it. It's going to go straight to the top, and they're going to figure out how to spin it to the American people. That's the way politics works. And that's why government...
It seems to be with this administration now that they don't spin too much stuff. They just put it dead out there sometimes, and they just go ahead and release the documents and whatever. It has been happening already with other information.
It has. But there are things, like Faz mentions, that most likely won't be released right away like that. We're not going to be the first ones to see it. I would suffice it to say, I think that the corruption in the House of Representatives and the Senate is going to prevent a lot of that from coming out. Just like the Jeffrey Epstein files. That was supposed to be done already, and it hasn't been. And there's a lot of very nervous people about that. And there's certain things that will be held back until it's the right time. I don't know if I trust Congress enough to tell us the truth anyway. Because they're the ones that would be putting it out, right? They're the ones who are, as Faz mentioned, putting in their grievances that, hey, something's funny, we need to come to the end of it. So, I mean, I don't know. Nobody knows. They do, but we don't.
Well, I'm not looking for you to know, and I'm certainly not looking for you to defend it even. You did have comments. Those comments certainly sounded like a defense. Okay. Regarding that executive order, I have pulled that up. Okay. So there's one executive order on the Department of Government Efficiency that is called DOGE. It's been established by this executive order. And it's focused on modernizing federal technology and software to maximize efficiency. Pretty broad. Okay. Let's see, is created. There's at least 4 employees per agency established as a DOGE team. They have a software modernization initiative, an interoperability between agency networks and systems initiative to enhance data collection and synchronization. They have been granted full and prompt access to unclassified agency records, IT systems, and software to streamline operations. That's it. Okay. So this order does not create any new legal rights enforceable against the U.S. government. Must be executed within the existing legal framework and budget appropriations. So this is, there's not, it's very broad, and it just establishes it and says it must work within our existing system. But what we're finding already, a day or two in, is that it's not operating within the existing system. Elon Musk is coming in, demanding records, and when he's not getting them because he doesn't have access, he doesn't have clearance, or he's violating procedure, he gets those people dismissed, and then he gets what he wants.
Well, I would like you to go and pull up, just like you're pulling that up. Go ahead and pull up your security clearance that you used to have. That's public, right?
Now that you've said so, thank you very much.
It's not, nor would Elon's be public. We don't know if he has a security clearance and at what level. You can't just go look that up on Google, just like you can't go look up yours. So we don't know. You're talking like the only thing he can do is what's put out into the public.
Oh.
That's not true, and you know that.
I'm riffing off of what you just said, where you said, and you can roll back the tape if you want, where you said he was probably given authority in the executive order. Now you're saying something different, like, oh, he had that access. He
was, and okay, so it says unclassified in the order, so I was a little off, but I would guarantee you that he would not be doing what he's doing unless he knew he could do it.
Well, so Ron Wyden of Oregon has put forth a big beef with this, complaining about going outside of government policies, provisions, and security, and that's something that he would be in the know of. He's in charge. Is he in charge of the Senate Banking Committee now, or he's a high-ranking member? One of the two, but he's in the know to know this. And so I said something that's violating laws here, and for some reason seems to be a big snoozer. I don't hear a lot of people complaining about it just yet, and I don't see you being too troubled about it either, despite you working in the field and having to follow those rules yourself.
It is not TSSCI for that information. I don't think so. If anything, it's classified as confidential, potentially, is my guess. A budget like that. There may be parts of it that are classified higher, but a budget and where they spent their money, I don't think would be at the upper echelons of the security standing system. I also do agree, because people are sick of the government wasting money that we end up paying for. So if there's a way that we can get in there and fix that problem, which eventually will help everybody that's here on the ground, absolutely, I'm 100% for it. I don't think he's going to be doing anything illegal, and it would be crazy to think that he would, because then they couldn't use it if it turns out to be illegal. I'm sure. I mean, he's got to have some kind of counsel from the White House. Doesn't have just one lawyer; they have dozens, and they're some of the best lawyers out there. And if Elon says, "Here's what I want to do," that lawyer probably said, "You can do that." Otherwise, he wouldn't storm, as the news reports it, storm the building and demand access if he didn't have the authority to do so somewhere, somehow.
Okay, so really, the end of let's go back in time a little bit, and remember that Trump was sued by a number of entities over him fomenting a riot for January 6th. Okay, and the Supreme Court basically, and some other things, and the Supreme Court basically said, if the president is doing something in that has to do with his duties as president, he is immune from prosecution. So that now he also has the ability to pardon. So if Elon does something that's against the law, he can simply pardon. Now that's
Yeah.
an incredible. Oh, that is wrong. That's incredible cheat and hack that he has. He can have Elon do whatever the fuck he wants, and then he can just pardon him every single time.
Kind of like Fauci and Hunter Biden, right?
Well, Fauci didn't do anything against the law.
That's why he needed a preemptive pardon, right?
So the very fact that Biden decided to protect Fauci from crazy people like Trump means that he was actually guilty?
We haven't had a trial on that.
Okay, so let's talk about things we know. Now, the Hunter Biden thing...
We do know that he was given a preemptive pardon. We do know that Hunter Biden was given a full pardon back to 2014, including the laptop.
You're only proving my point for me here.
So
you're
wait.
only proving my point for me.
Right. I'm not arguing your point. What I'm saying is that everybody does it. That's my point. You're making it out that Trump would pardon Elon, and that's a travesty against everything. But these other ones aren't? What Biden did isn't?
I said it was a hack. That means that's a... Okay, so I'm a software developer, and frequently I have to deal with QA departments. Okay, let me turn up the light a little because it's getting dark here. Frequently I have to deal with QA departments, and these QA departments do whatever they can to find a hack, a way to get around whatever I program in. In fact, you might even remember this gaming company that you bought some crypto from, that hacks would pop up every once in a while in these games. And what hacks are basically, if it's possible to do something, somebody will figure it out, and then they will make that the major part of what they're doing. And that's a loophole. If Elon is allowed to break laws and Trump is able to pardon him for anything he does, that's an unbelievably creative hack. Now that's not something that I'm aware of that any president has done before. So you could say, what about Hunter Biden? What about Hillary's emails? All that stuff. Okay, I'm talking about he can send in Elon to do whatever the fuck he wants, and Elon can get off because he has a pardon. He doesn't need a preemptive pardon. Biden did a preemptive pardon because he knew he was going to be out of office, and that was okay. That hasn't been done before. Yeah, that's terrible. Everybody's corrupt. It's okay. So it's okay, I guess, for Elon to do whatever he wants. You don't need the other two branches of government if Elon can do anything he wants and then get pardoned for everything he's doing. You have lost all of your checks and balances at that point.
Same goes for the last administration.
No. Where's the check and balance for this hack that I'm talking about? How's the judiciary and how's the Congress going to be able to check and balance against that?
The same way they can't check and balance against any of the pardons that Biden issued.
So
there
it's
was
a problem.
No check or
Would you
balance
agree then it's a problem? If Biden can do it too, yeah, so could have Obama, so could have anybody. James Madison, Woodrow Wilson, they all could have done it.
So I will say the same thing that our wonderful new director of, what is he? He's the Holman, the director of immigration or whatever it is. If you don't like it, change the law. And you got to change the Constitution, though. But if you don't like it, change it. Otherwise, you're going to use it.
You don't need to change the Constitution.
Same way as taxes.
Wait a minute. I'm telling you, I just got done telling you that Elon is doing things outside of what the law provides. And I'm telling you.
You don't know he is or not.
Let me finish. Elon can do things outside of this. Is what I'm saying. He can do things outside of what the law provides, and Trump can pardon him. The Congress can go in and rule any. They can make 50 dozen other laws. Elon would just break those too and then get pardoned. Where's the check and balance to stop that?
That comes with changing presidential pardons.
Okay, so what they need to do then, you're saying, is if they have that much of a problem with it, they have to do a constitutional amendment, which requires 3/4 of Congress and most of the states, 3/4 of the states or something, right?
Yeah.
How likely do you think that it's going to happen in our bipolar environment?
It's not going to happen.
No.
But when
So
the
that
other
makes it
guys
okay,
get
right?
when the other guys and gals get in there, they're going to do the same thing. And it's probably never going to get changed. So you just have to deal with it. Just like we have to deal with what Biden did, you have to deal with what Trump did.
That's a fallacious line of thinking, because what you're basically doing is you're saying rules don't matter. Because somebody broke a rule and got away with it. That's it. It's because Biden did, because Obama did, because whatever did. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. So I have a hard time understanding how those rules don't matter, but then somehow other rules do later.
So we had a very similar discussion to this on one of our shows where we were talking about taxes. And it boils down to the same thing, and I'll repeat what I said during that show. It was the same thing I said during this show. There's no difference. Anybody out there can take advantage of the tax code that a lot of people say that the rich people, find these loopholes and it's not fair. Anybody can take advantage of the same ones. Number one. Number two, if it's a problem, Congress needs to change the law. And they don't. Why don't they? Because it benefits them. It hurts them. Just like you say, we're going to put something out about term limits. Yeah, sure. They're all going to be interested in limiting their own terms. Come on. It's all just smoke and mirrors. They're going to do what enriches them, whether it's the executive branch or the legislative branch. Judicial branch, they have their own perks, right? There was talk a little while ago about the judicial branch having the Supreme Court have term limits set on it as well. The Democrats were screaming, we shouldn't have them in there for life and yada, yada, yada. Well, that's going to be put on the back shelf for right now. But the point is they're not going to vote against things that hurt them.
So why do votes need to happen at all if this is the case? This is what I'm getting at. And you've made an excellent case of rules don't matter, which begs the question.
They don't.
Okay. And that's what I'm getting to with this hack. Okay. If a president is immune from prosecution when doing his job, and he can make use of this hack to where he can send in anybody, it doesn't have to be Elon. It could be, let's just say it could be
Zorro.
It can be a super liberal president, wanting to make everybody equal in the eyes of everything. And that's not right, but that's okay. He can just, if you can get somebody to do it, then they'll just be pardoned.
That's the way it was for 4 years. Yes.
The way I see it is a shame that the way they use the laws. That's it, pretty much.
It's not the way it was for 4 years.
What?
Mr. Titan was trying to say something along the lines that Biden was basically violating laws and just pardoning everybody who violated them.
He just used the law in his to pardon his son. That's it. And he said it he said it before pretty clear in national television in 2020 and the TV show 2020 with David Muir, and he said that he's not going to pardon his son. What was the first thing he did when he was finished his time? He went to pardon his son.
The last thing he did.
Whatever.
Yeah, totally wrong.
But he did it. So he just used the law for his own convenience.
Mm-hmm. That is a problem.
Because was there, and it was proof that his son went through a lot of shit. It did illegal shit and used the tax money the wrong way.
So if well, sounds like some time is going to go by where people are going to get tired of seeing these kind of pardons happen.
Yeah,
And
people first gonna stop believing in the government that they have, which is, I'm pretty sure, a lot of happening right now as far as that. So in the people of the country is just gonna lose their trust, and whatever come after Trump or whatever next president of the United States will be, including also the Congress and the way they implement the government into this country. That's it,
okay,
pretty much. That's happening.
again, I'm again trying to make it very, very clear. Well, the White House right now has lawyers, and the lawyers tell the president whether he's legally allowed to do something or not. The Supreme Court has ruled in one case that the president is immune from prosecution on anything that he's done. If I was the president and I wanted to get my way and I had no moral compunctions whatsoever, I would no longer try to make any law go through Congress. I would no longer worry about put any resources to federal court cases. I would ignore it all. And Biden, I'm saying me. If I became president and I had no moral values whatsoever, why the fuck would I want to have any of my power? No, why would I voluntarily want to have my power checked?
Well, you're taking it to the extreme there.
That is what's going on, and the extreme is how it's going to go. There is no reason to go according to the law if you are immune for it. It's an expediency thing. It's an efficiency thing. If I want to get as much done in 4 years, I would go there because I'm immune.
Well, there's a lot of things that you can't do. And the lawyers will tell you what you can do without having to go to Congress.
I can pardon anybody who
Right. Well, my point is here that they're going to do what they can do within that law. And if the law needs to be changed, that's where the people need to start getting on their Congress people. And we'll see what happens. And I doubt anything will happen because they're going to be looking out for themselves. They're not going to be looking out for the American people. The way that this system is set up allows for that flexibility at this point. And they are salivating at the thought of changing the government. Oh, you know what? This thing was written 300 years ago. Let's get a brand new government going. We need to update today. We can rewrite the Second Amendment and define how we're going to allow guns in this country.
Flexibility.
I think they're salivating on it. I think they want the people to get mad enough to say, we need a brand new start. We need a fresh start. And that would be the worst thing that could ever happen.
I agree.
But at the same time,
you think that Trump is misbehaving intentionally to make the people rise up against him or up against the government?
I'm not saying Trump. I'm saying the government in itself. They're salivating at the thought of the people being fed up and asking for those things to be changed.
That's cray-cray.
They've had opportunity since the writing of that Constitution to change any amendment or to add amendments. Getting it done, as you said earlier, is virtually impossible. But if there's a strong enough push, things can be changed. Right now is a pivotal point because of how weighted towards what Trump believes in and what he's trying to execute. That would be a fantastic opportunity to get things changed.
I wouldn't call that fantastic when you're literally working as a wrecking ball to destroy your own government's processes. Now, I agree that there is actually there's likely no provision in government to allow for a radical redesign, just like there's no provision in the United States government for states to leave the union. It's Florida couldn't just decide to leave the United States right now. That's illegal. And there's all sorts of things that are illegal. But again, if Florida left the United States and Trump was fine with it, he could arrange it that they stayed gone. It doesn't matter what Congress says if he cannot be prosecuted for that. Now, of course, Congress could certainly remove him from office. And of course, you've helpfully pointed out that Congress is so corrupt that they would never ever let their own paychecks be in peril. But it sounds like you're saying that it's a natural part of things that we have to come pretty much to civil war in order to fix this pardon problem, this pardon hack that I've just told you about.
The ability to get that done, I'm not saying it needs to be some kind of armed revolution. What I'm saying is, or civil war, it has to be that the masses have enough weight behind them to force that change to happen.
How would they force that change to happen?
Well, that's a big rabbit hole, because the media is a big part of that. And the media is corrupt as can be. So it would be extraordinarily difficult. But I do think that they salivate at the thought of it. Yeah.
When I'm thinking of the people, I'm not throwing in the media as a blame or a reason. I'm saying the people, period. The media, fine. They're not going to. I don't care how corrupt you might think that the media is. They don't have an army. They don't have weapons. They basically, when the government decides to do something, they just sit back and report on it. Okay, so I'm having a hard time understanding how the media can stop Trump from taking advantage of this hack that I'm telling you about if he cannot be prosecuted for anything he does in his office.
Nor can any president. It's not just Trump. You keep making this out to be one person.
I'm making it out about Trump because he's currently doing stuff like that. Now it's a beginning, but I'm seeing a bunch of things happen. Like I said, these two agencies, the Department of Government Efficiency, they're the way that they're going in and just taking over agencies and like removing anybody who's in the way and going outside of federal processes, existing legal rules. They're going outside of these things.
You are very naive if you think this is the first time in history that that's happened.
You're using a fallacious argument saying because there is corruption, ... Yeah, corruption exists, but it has not existed. It hasn't existed on this level.
We don't know that. This is public information here, Faz. We don't know what went on. You just had Mark Zuckerberg, who denied it during a congressional inquiry, that he was pressured, pushed, shoved into manipulating the Facebook platform. And he denied it to Congress. And then as soon as that regime left office, he came out and he cried and said, "Oh my God, they made me do it. I didn't have a choice." The pressure to do that. So we didn't hear about that at the time, but we heard about it later. So again, don't make this out to be a Trump thing. We're just seeing it and hearing it more today than we did in the past. And it's not just Biden. It was every Republican, every Democrat, everybody that was in that office. We have the Congress and the Senate with enough skeletons that there's not enough cemeteries to bury all the skeletons that these people have in their closet. It's the way things are. We don't want it that way, but reality says that's how they are. Well, so we can sit here and cry about it until they're, but
I'm not.
They're going to operate the way they operate.
I'm not crying. I'm pointing it out, and I'm trying to make it very obvious that there is a hack available to do these things. Now saying oh my God, Mark Zuckerberg lied here with this administration, and then he got away with it, and then he told the truth, with the Trump administration, stuff like that. That has nothing to do with this hack. The fact that there's corruption in other parts of the government or other administrations have nothing to do with the hack that Trump is currently using, which is ordering somebody to do something illegal.
President used it too,
and holding a pardon over the top of their head.
Every other president has done it too. You just didn't hear about it.
Pardons are public, and generally presidents stay away from stuff like that because it completely ruins them. I would actually say that what ruins them is the fact that they admit to it. Watergate, for example, the president would have gotten off scot-free with these rules if he didn't try to cover it up. That was a cover-up. It was a problem.
Well, it has to be in the divisiveness of what he's trying to accomplish. There has to be a standing for it. So in this case, relating back to Elon, to kind of bring us back full circle, Trump has to get the budget deficit taken care of. In his attempt to do that,
not with this hack.
With his attempt to do that, that falls within a reasonable argument that he's doing his job to get rid of that deficit, so he took those actions to do it. That's not an excuse for him. But you keep saying, oh, they can do whatever they want. It's pure lawlessness. It's not. There has to be a reason behind why they're doing it.
Oh, anybody can invent a reason, okay? You can just say, I just wanted to see. We invaded that country because they scared us. And then you can kill just hundreds of people.
That already happened. George Bush did that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a Republican.
What I'm getting at is, if you're the president, you can get away with, oh, I just wanted to see. Okay? I'm trying to leave the legality out of who we decide to attack and who we decide to give money out of it. I'm trying to really drive home that a hack where you can have somebody do something illegal and then pardon them means you can get whatever you want. And it sounds to me, the way that Elon's been acting, he can get away with whatever he wants. He
might feel that
trusts Trump at this point, I think.
Well, there's a lot that goes into all of that. And I do think that it looks like, at this point at least, I may disagree with you later or disagree with this statement later, but it looks like it's a good thing because it's going to solve a lot of questions and problems.
It looks like a good thing, and I will admit that it looks for Trump supporters as a good thing. It looks to other people that may not support Trump as him violating a bunch of laws. So,
and it could get held up, yeah.
And Clinton actually was famous for saying, when he was president, basically he'd do whatever he wanted, and then make them make him stop. He would make them make him stop.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
So let's see. Siggy here says, with a 30-year treasury nearing 5%, which could lead the United States to a debt spiral, is it not worth Elon going and really trying to save money for the government to prevent such a situation? Well, we've had conversations about banking in the past and how corrupt banking is. And I would say it's banking is a lot of smoke and mirrors. And sure, they can do that. I mean, they could certainly move around a lot of stuff. My thought, honestly, is Elon is doing this and Trump is doing this because he wants to remove people that are against him. Trump has a lot of problems with the IRS. He has a lot of problems with government officials coming after him. He has gone into the FBI and removed, literally, specifically, removed people who have tried to prosecute him in the past. He's specifically going after those people.
But don't he say that before? He mentioned that before he was running for president. He said it before a couple of times that he will take care of these people. He will make sure that he persecute these people that were against him. He said it pretty
Doesn't
clear.
that void all
And all the
doesn't that-
people that support him went and yes, do it. Go ahead. Why not?
doesn't that remove all semblance of fairness or just a fairness? Because like Mr. Titan would say, the next president, or maybe Biden did it too. The next president can do the same thing. They can remove all those people and install their own loyalists. I mean, now what people usually say about the Democrats is they'll say, well, Democrats do it too. They just did it quietly and behind the scenes.
It
And
is
Trump,
true.
he's
Yes.
just out in front.
That's
telling
yeah, that's yes, that's true. The thing is that you have to understand that in the past couple of years ago, we didn't have the same technology for media for people to report immediately. So right now, what's going on? Why you see a lot of corruption out there pretty fast is because the technology that people have right now to spread information right now. So yes, everything is more exposed out there now to the people. 20 years ago, it wasn't the same.
Yes and no, because
No, of course not. And
well,
we don't know what kind of shit people government did in the past. 20
okay,
years
wait a minute.
ago, you wouldn't know all the stuff that we know right now.
Yes and no. We know more things, but there's also a lot more chaff out there. So there are people claiming everything on YouTube and social media. There are people saying all sorts of false stuff and people saying all sorts of true
Yes,
stuff. And then there's stuff that's in between that's hard to distinguish, which I think is most of it.
I agree with you in
So,
that. I think a lot of media that is right now being actually handled by people, just people. I think I know it's a lot of stuff fake.
individuals.
It's a lot of stuff fake from
So
individuals. It's a lot of things that right now, especially on X platform right now,
yeah.
there's a lot of accounts
So
there. It's a lot of people.
how do you make sense of it all if you have you have people that can tell you the wrong things, the
Some
right things, but there's so many more that tell you the wrong things. How are you going to know it's true?
Well, some people will have the common sense of investigate and do their own research and get deep into the news. And some people no. The majority of the people don't even care about doing research and get common sense of these things that they see
It's going to be
on the web.
it's going to be
See?
random.
Yes,
It's going to be random as
it is. It's a random system. Yes.
no, I'm saying it's going to be random as to whether somebody is believed. It's going to be random as if they're going to be right. And if you are charismatic enough, you can make anybody believe anything.
Of course. And you know how you call that? And you know how you call that? You got a lot of ignorance people in the world. And that's sad. And that's reality. Because people don't want to use their brain to research, investigate, and do their job.
Wait a minute. 8-Bit Tendies has a really important thing to say here. I have a friend that came to a conclusion that the Earth is flat because he did his own research. So whether it's flat or not, we don't know. We can't really know, can we?
Nathan, everybody have problem with the IRS as long as you're doing money. Yes, you're gonna have problem with them as well.
Well, so does President Trump, but he's fine for now. So that's the dilemma. I don't see a way around this whole break the law, pardon the lawbreakers deal. All the people who went to the Capitol, broke in the Capitol, and shat on the walls and destroyed things, and people wound up dying, people wound up getting injured. All those people are pardoned now. That's another example of you can get away with anything.
Do you think that power have to be removed from the presidents to pardon people?
I think it should have a check and balance somewhere, which means it can be kept or it can be removed, but there needs to be a check and balance there somewhere. And up until
So right now, it's not a check and balance system that actually tell the president, okay, you can pardon these people, you can pardon this guy right here. So they just have their arm and they just okay, I feel like to pardon this guy today. That's the way.
Up until the Supreme Court made that decision that the president can literally do no wrong, there wasn't a rule on that. The thought was, and perhaps it was not written, that no one is above the law. But the president is above the law. And so I would say if there's a check and a balance, if there's a way to
Pardon people is being above the law.
well, pardoning is something
Because
traditionally used by anybody in charge, and they should have the right to. But I think it should be subject to certain regulation, and I don't know what that is. I'd love to talk about that. I think that'd be a whole other cast right there.
AB Tandy says Trump seems to be getting rid of most of the check and balance. AB Tandy's, I don't know if you don't know this, but there is no check and balance right now.
Well, with this hack, no, there isn't. There's effectively not. And basically, if Trump has enough balls, he can take that and use that in the entire time until what Mr. Titan says, until Congress gets to a point where they say, you know what, we've had enough. We're going to do a constitutional amendment.
Then it's got to get ratified, which I don't know how that would go. It's a big ask.
It would unfortunately have to involve a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth to happen. I think it would have to. I mean, it would obviously have to disadvantage so many rich people that run the government right now. That might be it. Once it disadvantages the people that run the government, maybe that's when it gets changed. It's not going to happen with when me and you get
Probably the good thing that we know that he only had 4 years and then move on.
Well, there's already a bill in Congress to increase that to 3 terms.
The law passes. The law passes. Again, we don't have a vote on that.
Yeah. It's a shame why we don't have vote on that. We should.
And see, that is a fantastic little dangler for the political system, because if they can say, you know what, if we give the president the power to serve 3, 4, 5, 6 terms, whatever the case may be, do me a favor and let's make sure that our terms aren't limited. See, that's how politics works.
And you know what's the perfect example? Sorry to interrupt you. You know what's the perfect example from that, when you give power for a long time to presidents of the countries? You will see. You will end up the same way that South America is.
Banana Republic.
I don't doubt that, and I'm not a proponent of extending presidential terms. What I am in favor of, though, is limiting congressional terms, Senate terms. I do think career politicians is a really, really bad thing. I also think and Faz will have a field day with this. I also don't think that there is or should be a standard for being elected to Congress or the Senate. Meaning right now it's all people that are mostly lawyers. People like that are not, I don't think, very qualified to be in that position. Meaning you need, in that position, it's meant to be a problem-solving position. But we know they're never going to solve the problems, because if they solve all the problems, then they don't have a job. Engineers, critical thinkers, people with, as Zorro would say, common sense, need to be in those roles. And we've gotten so far away from the people having a voice. It's the corporations, it's the people who donate. These hearings, I don't know how much you paid attention to these confirmation hearings, but it always comes up. People are slamming it on the table. You know, Bernie Sanders had his ass handed to him when he was given the number. He had 1.5 million from the pharmaceutical industry that Bobby Kennedy threw on the table, that he was mortified that got out, because he had just put out a tweet, $0 from big companies, $0 from this, $0 from that. 37 million people gave me $25 a piece, and that's why I'm here today. And Bobby brought out the document and said, you're arguing against me trying to regulate the pharmaceutical companies after you got just got a donation of 1.5 million from the pharmaceutical companies. Now, how does that play into the typical American? The three of us that are sitting here right now, we can't compete with that to get that senator's ear or to get him to influence him to put forth a bill that's going to help us. It's out of control up there. We don't have that voice. We only have enough of a voice for them to say, just like Elizabeth Warren versus John Deaton, we only have enough of a voice to raise a stink. But in reality, we're going to get outspent by the people who benefit the most, which ain't us.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
I wasn't aware that there's a lot of stuff that you're saying. I'm not aware of much of a standard being held for serving in Congress. I remember back in 2000 for the state of Missouri, they elected, there's a guy running for senator. His name was Mel Carnahan. And poor Mel, he died right before the election, like a couple weeks before the election in a plane crash. And what they did is they put his wife in his place. Jean Carnahan, I think her name was. And so Jean Carnahan, they said, okay, if you want to vote for Mel, vote for Jean, and she'll do his policies or something like that. But she wasn't a politician.
There was a scandal.
And so there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in government, in Congress, even right now, that buck that standard. If there is any, I don't know what it is. There's non-lawyers. The reason I think that you get a lot of lawyers in Congress is honestly they know how to talk. They know how to say things in such a way that they're convincing, and they have a quick recall of facts, unlike you and me. They have good comebacks. They are witty.
It is simple.
Class president of school.
Fast is very simple. They are good liars.
Salespeople.
Salespeople.
So it was a few years ago, and I'm horrible with, if I say 5 years or whatever, you guys always laugh at me because I'm like way off. I don't know if you remember this. It was a while back, few years back. There was a congressman that was elected to Congress, and he was immediately thrown out of Congress. Once he got up there, it was the wrong kind of person that they wanted up there. It was a normal guy. I can't remember for the life of me who it was or where he was from, but it was astounding. He just showed up and he talked real well, and they elected this guy, and a really important incumbent got booted out, and he won the election. And right before he was supposed to go in, of course, all this dirt came out and he was removed. If people that they don't like get elected, they find a way, maybe even Mel, something happens before they get into Congress. Something always happens. There's a scandal. When presidential candidates go up, remember John McCain? You know why John McCain didn't get the nomination? Because of a picture of him standing on a stage looking like a maniac. And they said, this guy's going to send us to nuclear war.
Nomination of
and
what?
It's for president, for the Republican nomination for president.
He did get the nomination. He ran against Obama and lost.
No. I'm saying there was this picture of him acting all crazy on stage because he was all fired up. And the media splayed it all over the place that he was a maniac and he was dangerous. He was going to send us into nuclear war, and right down the tubes he went.
Now you can go absolutely apeshit crazy talking about people eating dogs and eating cats, and they will elect you and they will like it. So see how much legs that had. That only lasted about 10 years.
Well,
okay. You can act as crazy as you want.
No, well, Fetterman, right? Fetterman showed up to inauguration in a sweatshirt and sweatpants.
Good.
He does whatever the hell he wants. But what I'm saying is that there needs to be that radical change, I think, before you're going to see anything in government not do what they've always done. You need to get 3/4 of those people out of there, and you need to get regular people in there. And regular people doing that job. There was a a Senate race a few years ago here for Ohio. And there was a fantastic young kid. He was a former Marine, and his name was Josh somebody. I can't remember his last name, but Josh Mandel was his name. And he ran on a platform that said, I don't care. I know there's no term limits. I will promise just 2 terms, and then I will step out and walk away. I don't think there should be career politicians. That's part of the problem. Well, guess what people didn't do? They didn't elect him, a lot of it because of that. They want the people they want in there, and they want them to stay forever because the corporations and the people who do all the influencing can develop that relationship and then get whatever they want. It doesn't benefit businesses, corporations, or the dark money that you talked about earlier to have people constantly turning over in there, because then it's very difficult for them to control anything. When they have people in there for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, man, they got them by the short hairs.
Okay, wait a
and
minute.
they can get whatever they want.
Wait a minute. So, going balls to the wall on term limits. First of all, it's an incredible tangent from Trump ordering Elon to break the law. But I just want to say something to that, especially when we're talking about the U.S. government, their computer systems with the Department of Treasury, which Elon is currently trying to break. Well, he has now gotten access to, and his goal is to get rid of anybody who won't cooperate, and they want to get rid of government people that have been there for years and years. And the reason they want to, and the reason that this is a problem is some of these systems are very old, and they require people with a lot of years of experience in the government to be able to tease out the information that they need. You can't just with I've worked for state governments, and a lot of times you can't just copy the data and expect to be able to read it. You actually have to have some knowledge there, and being able to figure it out accurately takes a long time if you don't have somebody who knows how it works. And the example that I like to give is when I worked for state government, the data systems were programmed in COBOL 74, and it was out of date at the time. And I think they programmed it in the most of it in the 80s. It was out of date at the time, and of course that stuff stopped getting supported. And so then they used Windows NT 4 to emulate it. And then Windows NT 4, of course, is very old, and it eventually stopped getting supported by Microsoft. And then now they needed another emulator to emulate NT 4 to emulate COBOL. And the people that needed to manage all these emulators were charging about $1 million a year to the state government to keep their old COBOL 74 systems running. Now, they couldn't rewrite the COBOL 74 stuff because all their processes were written inside of these COBOL applications, and there were so many rules that it was hard to rewrite and test and make sure everything worked in the same way. That's why you see a lot of old COBOL written programs, especially with the federal government, still around. It's because we wouldn't be able to pay people. We wouldn't be able to get accurate tax data on people if it wasn't in these old, antiquated systems. Now, you can go in and read the data out, but like I said, if the rules are in an area where you can't tease them out very easily, you're not going to understand why that data is in the way it is. You're not going to understand how it's stored all the time. And it's going to lead you, if you're trying to move fast, it's going to lead you to a lot of false conclusions about how things are. My personal experience in that says the best Elon's going to be able to do is to be able to point to some messed up stuff and say, this is why we need to redo it.
So you should be starting a business then and contract with the state of Oregon to fix that problem. You could make millions and take forever, and it would be perfectly fine.
I think Elon and his friends are more likely better positioned to get those jobs. They've frozen all hiring and all contracts with federal government, so I'm not going to be able to get in and be able to do any work for them.
You can, and then you know what? You'll benefit from it, because when you find and point out the corruption, Trump can give you a pardon so that you don't have to worry about all of that stuff being exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So
See,
you would
this is where your
benefit from the
arguments go.
pardon.
This is where your arguments go. They go into the land of la la, and you go from serious to non-serious, back to serious again.
You can't have a completely serious political discussion. That bores people to tears. You got to have some goddamn fun with it.
Agree.
When I call you out, at least admit it. That's all. So I think we can agree that things are kind of fucked right now, and it's sad, in my opinion, because the way that it's being done, I compare it to like hot wiring a car when you have the keys on the wall and you just need to check out the keys or something like that. And what's going to happen is if you're going to tear it down and build a new system, that's great. It's called greenfield development. If you could tear down a system, build a new one, that's great. It's easy to program, but getting all the old stuff in is the hard part. And there's going to be more pain than you, as Trump would say, than anybody has ever dreamed of. There's going to be more pain. There's going to be so many people that won't be able to get their tax returns, their tax refunds. They won't be able to file their tax returns. It's going to be all fucked. So that's my 2 cents if they continue going that way.
So the easy way would just be eliminate the IRS, and then you don't have to worry about changing the system over.
Well, geez, that's what Nate here doesn't need to worry about, because they're planning to cut a lot of people from the IRS. It's going to take them years and years and years to come after him. It might be 10 or 15, 20 years. You know, when the Democrats come in, they'll fix it. Don't worry. They'll make it work again. But of course, Republicans will be like, "But you did it wrong."
Democrats will go ahead and put everything back the way they had it before. That's it, pretty much, and then all over again, the same stuff.
That's right.
Wow. Do we want to end on that high note there?
You want me to say something else?
Do it, Zorro.
Say something else.
Don't try me. And as far Elon Musk, this guy already had power way before all this thing going on right now with the government and Trump being his buddy. He had power already way before all this. And what people do when they have power and they're rich, they do whatever fucking they want to do.
Elon has changed. In the last 5 years, he has gone from somebody who was pushing the envelope on space and electric cars and so on, and now he's gotten so much money and so much power that he doesn't. He no longer empathizes with everybody else. And this is actually documented. When you get that rich, that you cannot empathize with somebody else because you don't have the mind space for it. You don't see the same problems of everybody else does. You don't. If you're rich, you do not know how to live on a budget. You know, if you have $40 billion, which is what Elon has, I mean, really, you just need to make sure that what's coming in is more than what's leaving. You don't really need a budget for that. You don't need to adhere closely to numbers.
People need to be more skeptical. That's what you say. As far more critical as far Elon Musk, and they have to actually really think about what Elon Musk is doing. And I always try to tell people, just try to read and use your mind. Elon Musk is selling the big picture to the humans. Is we're going to Mars and we're going to be this and we're going.
I think he wants Mars. I think he's doing all this stuff. He has totally changed his personality in the last 5 years so that he can get Mars. And if he does, I will frankly be just impressed that he was able to do it. Period.
You see what he's doing, though, right? So here's the danger with Elon Musk. And I'm a big Elon Musk fan, but a lot of people aren't thinking about this danger here. He's put himself into a very extraordinarily powerful position because he's going to be the expert. He's going to be the hero. And being that hero, he saved the government $2 billion with DOGE. He accomplished this. He accomplished that. then let's assume for a moment that the Democrats get back in and they're going to say, "Ha, Elon, you're out of here." What do you think the populace is going to say? They're going to say, "If you're going to kick him out of here, we don't want you in there because look what he's done for government. Look what he's done for the people. Look what he's done for humanity going to Mars." And you're going to say that he's not worthy. So where you come in and say he's president, he's actually kind of wormed himself into a position to where he would end up being, I think, more powerful than the president because he would have the masses 100% behind him if he's able to accomplish these things. And he's not an elected official. He's not even an appointed official. He's just there. That's the danger.
And based on what you say, what you just say, is I have a good question as for people, and I think this is a good question that people have to ask themselves. What Elon Musk has been accomplished? Create a new car? GNC? What other companies? Chevrolet, Ford? They done cars before. That he did an electric car. I think which one was the first company he created a full electric car?
Tesla.
No,
What?
it was another company before.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and okay, he created rockets now.
He did
Now-
PayPal before doing electric cars.
He, hold on. He creates new fully electric cars. He creates rockets. NASA done that before. A bunch of rockets around. Okay, what else he accomplished? He's doing now Neuralink, which we still don't know how that end is. That thing is going to end.
Digging holes underneath of cities with his boring company.
Yeah, the boring company.
Oh, he's building now tunnels. Other companies in the world has been done that before as well. So when people say, "Oh, but look how much Elon has been done for humanity," yes, it was done before. He's just doing it another way, probably. I don't know, or advertising his job in another way.
Elon says he wants more humans. He doesn't want birth control. He thinks that we should be having babies like you've never seen.
Yeah. Populations are dwindling across the world.
Well, I guess he's saying
We've
that
literally had
I
most
guess
humans on this planet ever. We have 8 billion people on this planet. It's not dwindling anytime soon.
I guess he said that in the past because probably we're dying more faster, or generations are not.
We're living longer.
We're living longer.
Yeah.
Don't we
Humans
have
are
more?
living
Don't we
longer
have?
now.
Don't we have more disease right now at this time?
No, we oh my God, in the Middle Ages, people were dropping like flies. We're able to cure a lot of diseases and mitigate them to where they can live long, happy lives, or long, slightly happy lives with certain conditions.
So that's not entirely true.
It's not entirely
So
false.
it's not entirely false either, right? I'm not saying it is, but a lot of those mortality rates where they said the average lifespan was 45 years, there was a lot of deaths at birth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of zeros into that average. So
Yeah. Thank
people-
antibiotics. After the 1940s, baby graves start getting rare.
So in the course of humanity, yes, you go back 2,500 years, the average lifespan was 45, but a lot of that was because of birth issues. So we may not be living a lot longer, but we're living longer, yes. And the numbers are helping us on that backside of the ability to not have as many deaths at birth.
So we have 8 billion people on this planet. We have exponentiated to the point where we have strained the resources of this planet.
I don't
And
think so. Oh, God.
now, when you're talking about are we dying more? I don't think there's a problem until we get down a few billion. But here's the thing: what was actually happening is in industrial civilized countries or countries that are very, very technologically ahead, like Japan, the United States, and I'll throw in like others like Europe and stuff like that. People aren't having as many babies as they had before. And so if rich people or people who aren't poor tend to have very few kids because they can afford not to have many kids. They don't need kids to support the household after a certain point. And as a result, we're having like 2 babies on average a piece. For each family is having on average two babies, which means the growth is slowing. In industrialized countries, the growth is declining. Now that's kind of funny because in non-industrialized countries or more backward countries, let's just say a lot of Africa where things aren't going right, they still have an incredibly high birth rate. Why don't we just take some of those into these industrialized countries like Japan and the United States and Europe and stuff like that? That would solve the problem. But no, we don't want that. The United States might be having a problem with, well, we're still producing more babies in the United States. Japan is the other way around. Japan, their population is declining. But again, it's going to take a long time.
Well, not really. You've got your boomer generation, and they're going to be dropping like flies. They have been for a while. And there's a lot of them that are circling the drain right now. And that was a huge boost to the population. Our generation is not as good at producing kids. So it might be slowing, like you said, but as soon as the boomers who are circling the drain go, we're going to drop like a rock.
It will still, if you look at the projections, it will still take a long, long time. And that is probably a good thing.
Well, we've had this argument before. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
We don't need trillions of people on this planet.
Well, I swear I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but we don't know how many people are in this country. And when the people do go back to their countries when they're deported, we're going to get a better accurate. That's going to lower the population as well. So there's another big influx that's going to be removed from that population number as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like the rich people are unhappy, or the rich countries are unhappy that their populations are going down. Meanwhile, we are now wanting to kick out people that have come and could be those workers that we're looking for. You want people to pick apples and cherries and stuff like that for a very low amount of money. Well, let's kick those people out and charge people, $7 an hour. Charge our own people $7 an hour to do it ourselves.
That's not what they do here. The illegals, it's a very small part is being in the fields. A very big part of it are in industries such as home construction and a lot of those fields.
That too. I'm going to say that too. I don't agree with the fields part, but I'm going to say that too. Fields, slaughterhouses, building houses, building roads, you name it. If it's hard work, white people don't like to do that.
Because they're being sold the American dream. If you just go to college, you can be whatever you want. Ain't nobody want to be a strawberry picker. No kid grows up and says, I want to pick strawberries in a field for my career.
If you abolish the Department of Education,
they got to find somebody to do it.
If you abolish the Department of Education and then start appointing people who aren't qualified for jobs, like Fox News personalities for the Secretary of Defense, how are you gonna? Why does it matter? Why does education matter at that point?
Same reason that why should a company hire a programmer when you've got a perfectly good podcast right here?
What would be your solution to fix that? What would be your solution to fix that problem as far as people that collecting the fruits and everything for the United States, all the people that work that way? What would you do to fix that problem?
Actually,
I don't think it's a problem.
You asking him or me?
Both of you.
Okay, so Titan and I talked about this the other day.
I'm sorry, and I say it's a problem because it seems to be that the country see it as a problem. I'm just saying that.
Titan and I talked about this the other day, and I made it clear that right now, undocumented people from Mexico are working in jobs, picking things, working in slaughterhouses, stuff like that, and they're actually paying taxes because they are getting paychecks, and they're because you can actually get a number that would serve as a Social Security number, and they're actually paying taxes. They're just not getting the benefits of it, with the exception of the emergency room. They're not getting the benefits of it. So if the only benefit you get for paying taxes is you get emergency room service, and you don't get tax refunds, and you don't get I don't know, all the other benefits that we get, seems kind of like a good deal for the United States. So how would I solve it? I would actually find ways to incentivize them to get more of their documentation filled out by promising things like, I don't know, Social Security. If you fill out this stuff and become a legal American, you can get Social Security. And then what you do is you say, hey, if you want to be an American, a legal American, you must go to these classes. We'll pay for them. When a long time ago, I was going to be a nurse's aide, and certified nurses' aides are the jobs at the time were very hard to they had a hard time finding people. And they said, okay, we will send you to school to be a nurse's aide. It was like a short school. We'll send you to something that lasts like 3 or 4 months, be a nurse's aide, and then you will be paid as a nurse's aide. And so they put out that carrot. And I thought that was great. So I went to that school for a while until I found a better job. But you do that. That's one way to solve it. You incentivize people like you would incentivize customers that you'd be selling something to. You want them, and you can make this with regular law-abiding Americans that were born in the United States. You can incentivize Americans to get educations by paying for certain things. The problem is we're doing that to Americans. We're forgiving loans, and we're incentivizing. We're allowing grants and stuff like that, and people are saying that's not fair. So what I would suggest to incentivize people, people don't want. Mr. Titan, what's your suggestion?
I think you solve it with automation, and you don't need those people doing the job. You don't need a human to work in the fields. You don't need humans as many to work in a slaughterhouse. Homes are being constructed in a 3D manner now with machines.
Can be. They're not right now,
right,
but they can be, yeah.
And there's technology and automation that can be used to reduce the number of people who would be needed for that. So
But if you still have that people in the country already, and you automate, put technology to do all this, what would you do with those people that you already have here?
Well, okay, so Faz might have an orgasm here because I'm going to sound like a Democrat for the next minute and a half. I don't think they all need to be thrown out.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you're not a true conservative. You're an anarchist.
But I'm not in favor of amnesty either. They did something wrong. They knew they were doing something wrong. There has to be accountability for that. But at the same time, to give them an opportunity to go through a program that would make them legal, because I do think the way that the system is set up right now is kind of just stupid. It's a bunch of red tape, and it takes forever, and it's just stupid. We have the ability, the technology right now to run backgrounds on people, to find out the information we need to find out. And regardless of immigration status, the education does need to be pushed up for anybody. And so blanket statement of saying, hey, we found a way to do this the right way. And if you'll come in and do it the right way right here, right now, you have 6 months to get into this program. If you don't, you're out of here. And if they pass that background check, they're not people who have committed heinous crimes like Trump alleges, countries emptying their prisons into the United States, things like that. No, we don't want those people in here. But the people who, and I hate this because it makes it sound horrible, but the people that aren't, terrible human beings who want a legitimate shot, who maybe have been here 20 years illegally, Okay, we'll put you through the program. You're going to pay a penalty for that, but we'll put you through the program, get registered in this new fast track way. We'll get you trained or help you find a job or whatever the case may be. I'm okay with that. I would be okay with that from my standpoint. But if they're not going to do that, they need to be out of here right away. The criminals need to be out of here right away. The people who have taken advantage of our system by just coming, regardless of where they came from, they come over the border, they spit out 6 kids that's putting a strain on resources that are working under the table. You can go to any Home Depot in these states and find people who are working under the table. It's not all like Faz says. You got to solve that problem.
But it's a lot of citizens of the United States that take advantage of the system as well.
Right. There is.
Welfare
And
queens.
that's a whole different subject. And I am absolutely for that as well. There was a woman on the radio.
Legal people.
Yeah. I know what you mean. There's a woman on the radio that was trying to figure out, asking questions on how to get what the limit was on how many kids she could spit out to max out her benefits, and if it was to her incentive to have any more kids so she could continue living off the government. Those people need fixing too.
Oh, tell me that there's not white middle class people who haven't done that same exact thing.
It depends. If there are things that are available, absolutely people are taking advantage of it.
I think I agree with both of you, the same answer, and I would say I think we can convert agriculture to being operated by full technology right now, and put a pathway to these people that actually here into training classes or something, and give them a path, giving a choice to make something good out of their life, and if they comply with the standard that the government require, they can get something.
So to me, people are valuable, and
It is. Yeah.
and I'm going to say outside of just their feelings and being nice and being great company, human beings in this country are useful for work too, and
Yes.
there are going to be. I totally agree with Titan's automation idea. I love automation. In fact, I know a guy who's worked for a company that picks strawberries. He made robot software that automatically picks strawberries. And if you've ever picked strawberries, they're a bitch to pick because they're all over the place, and it's hard to design a robot to pick them
Right.
well.
But
So
by
automation
creating
is fine. There will still be all sorts of cracks. Okay, there's all sorts of stuff that automation is going to miss, that the people are going to need to do. And if for some reason you automate everything to where humans don't need to do anything, I saw this on another podcast, we need to start rethinking how our society works. You know, our society right now, we consider you a good member of society if you produce something, if you work and you produce something. But if now everybody's out of a job because they can't produce something, you can't demonize them anymore. You've got to say, okay, now that we've have all these robots, what do we want to do with society? Maybe if you will stop having welfare queens, because they're going to find that it doesn't work to their advantage. If you don't need to worry about income as much as a welfare queen would, they don't want to have 57 babies. Do you think that they really like that idea? No, but the worst reading of that, which I disagree with, is that they're doing it for the money. But if they're not going to get money doing it, if they find out they can get the same amount of money by just being themselves, that's great. And it's I think we're going to get to a point where so many things are automated that humans are going to be unable to work, and they must not be stigmatized at that point. We need to start realizing, we need to start changing how society works.
Humans will enjoy more life.
And I would love to pay people to have fun.
You know why people is really upset on today's days? Because they're just working their ass all the time.
It's inequality. It's
People-
inequality
pe-
with
pe-
stuff.
People
or
are not enjoying life.
There's
People they're
monetary
not.
inequality. If you don't have enough stuff, you're not going to live as well as somebody else. Then there's of course racial inequality, where if you're not the right type of person, you're not going to live as well as somebody else. And it's these inequalities that make a society where work is needed. You wouldn't need work if you didn't have some disparity there. Oh, we've got to turn this gold. You got to go dig this gold up so you can turn it into something else. Well, if you don't need humans to dig it up anymore, then you don't need work. You don't need anybody to work for it.
We always gonna need people to do some kind of work.
Maybe not here. Probably if you go to Mars, you would. But if you get to a certain point where you can automate everything on the Earth, you could live on the Earth and not work, or you could go to Mars and work your ass off.
Once you convert everything to automatic system in the agricultural field, then you're gonna put these same people that you remove from them to pick up the strawberries, and then you're gonna put these people in charge to take care of the actual technology that is running the field now. I hear you before many times saying this. I just put it in another words.
I think there's always going to be jobs personally, because you will always be able to scale up whatever you're doing. Like you just said, with the you can have you
remember the movie of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
You remember the guy that he used to put the wrap up all the chocolates and everything, and then they put a machine to do that and pick up all the chocolates, and then they fired the guy,
mm-hmm.
and then the company have an issue. They didn't have technician to repair the actually machine who replaced him, and they call him, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? Hey, we have a problem here. Now you're gonna fix the machine that replaced you."
Yeah.
So
exactly. Our entire society is going to change. Our entire society is going to change to service AI and robots, just like it's currently morphed around cars right now, just like it was morphed around horses before cars, and so on. So we will have plenty of things to do. There will always be a better AI out there that will need to be invented, and we're going to need to go to other planets, and you're going to need people to service those and fill all the gaps. So there's always going to be jobs.
And
However,
probably Elon know already that he requests more babies, because probably sending people through those rockets to Mars, you will sacrifice a lot of people probably at the beginning.
You're going to have to change how this country thinks for people to willingly throw themselves like lemmings off of this earth.
Just gonna say, you 25 getting that rocket. Let's see what the hell happens.
Well, hold on. You think he's going to be the first? No.
Okay, so you've got to have logos. You've got to have music. You've got to have propaganda to get people to leave this planet and do great things that would get them killed in an instant. Space is very unforgiving too. You don't open you open a door wrong and you kill everybody in the goddamn capsule. So I mean, it's very unforgiving. So once you start getting a lot of people out in space, you're going to have a lot of people dying just trying to get to Mars.
Of course. And these people is going to sign off a paper. Here you go. It's on your own race. That's it. If you make it, pretty good. If you don't make it, that's it.
If you do that, we will pay all this money to your relatives here on Earth, and we'll support them. And they won't need jobs.
Yeah.
Oops, you died. We're not paying your relatives anymore. The longer you live, the more we pay them.
All
right.
Yes. All right.
I think we're running out here. You have any last words, Mr. Titan?
I thought this was a pretty good show, and there's a lot more that you could dig into about Elon and what he's doing and how he's doing it. I think we should revisit this at some point with progress reports, because he's just gotten started.
Yeah.
6 months from now, let's see the results of all of this stuff that he's been doing. And we can maybe have, for lack of a better way to put it, a better way to judge whether those actions, legal or illegal or pardoned or not pardoned, were worth it.
I think every week there's going to be something new. However, I'm going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. I'm going somewhere else in the world, and I'm going to go get married. So, you
And
guys,
Titan and myself will be in charge. Yeah.
Yes.
you'll have to hold it together. And then we can circle back to Elon. I don't know if we're going to do any politics show. I seem to be the one dragging you guys both to this.
It's not so much dragging us. It's just a very contentious topic, and it requires a lot of restraint from all of us to be able to have a conversation, because fundamentally all three of us have different views on how these things in politics and society should be handled. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that rage slammed their computer speaker to shut us off when one of us was saying something they didn't agree with. So the divisiveness is big reason why I hesitate. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think we need to show people that it is possible to talk about politics in a non-divisive way, because I think that's the only smart way forward. The only way forward that's going to give anybody hope, too.
Yeah.
It is not good enough any longer, in my opinion, for people to just scream at each other and say, you're wrong, I'm going to completely undo what you've done when I'm in charge, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be, how can we both work together to solve this, or else we're wasting a lot of money and time.
And
Just
my
like
last
long
thing
walks
to
on the beach and puppy
my
dog.
last thing to say here is just be involved. Get on politics. Talk about it. Think about it. Because everything is happening right now.
Be involved.
Be involved.